host, Cheryl, as always. So, we are continuing our franchise review of Scream with Scream 2 that came out in 1997, about a year after the first one, which is normally a no-no for sequels just because, you want to let your movie hit theaters, have it run through theaters, then video sales, then cable, and everything. So usually you want to do it 2 years, but no, Scream went ahead, came out a year later, still did pretty good. I don't think it did quite as well as the first one, but it still did pretty good for itself, being released only a year later, about a year later from the first one. But, so, this was obviously, once again, directed by Wes Craven, also written by Kevin Williamson, once again, so they're staying consistent and everything. Because as we all know, with horror sequels especially, doesn't always work out that way, so, props to them. One more little thing that I just kind of give them credit for this series. So, but anyway, so this movie is starring, obviously, Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, David Arquette, Jada Pinkett Smith for a small little role, Omar Epps as well as a small little role, Heather Graham as a small little role as well, Liev Schreiber, is reprising his role as Cotton Weary. Much bigger part in this one, not just little news clips, good for him. Sarah Michelle Gellar in her first horror movie. I think I'm wrong on that. I probably am, you guys, so if that's not true, I apologize, but, whatevs. Timothy Oliphant, I know I slaughtered that, I apologize. Jamie Kennedy, once again, is in here. Jerry O'Connell, Laurie Metcalf, Rebecca Gayheart, and Portia de Rossi. But anyway, so yeah, this one, is, once again, with how Scream, the first one, was set up. This one is our sequel, obviously, and they're going through, the sequel rules and everything. And this one, I don't know, I don't like this one more than the first one, but there's certain things about this one that I do like more than the first one. I don't think it's a better movie by any means than the first one, but I don't know, there's just something about this one, maybe because this one doesn't get, like the first one, all the sort of it did this, it did that, it was, I think by this time, when this one came out, all that kind of had, sort of died down a little bit, but they're still, staying true to, setting up rules, discussing the rules and everything of a sequel, so basically continuing the Horror 101 basic, book of rules and everything. I don't know, I just feel like it works better in this one for some reason, if that makes sense. To me it makes sense, but yeah, whatever. And something I do like about this one too, one of the first things said by Jada Pinkett Smith, her character, to her little boyfriend, Omar Epps, in this movie, because they're going to the theater or whatever, they won some tickets from, MTV or something, to go see an advanced screening of the Stab movie, that was based off the first events of the first movie and everything. That's another little thing, that little side note, is having these, this is not something that we've seen, for the first time with this movie. Once again, this is something that we've seen many times before, especially since, is, having kind of movies within movies and everything, and plus to how the whole, especially to, since it's the Stab movies, how it just, infiltrates the whole nation and everything, and just people are, ganging up on the bandwagon, but something that Jada Pinkett Smith, nice little segue here, that she says, one of the things she says, because they were going to go, she wanted to go see the new Sandra Bullock, and blah, 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 but, her boyfriend, like I said, got them tickets for this and stuff, and he's a little bit of a fan, he's a typical guy, likes to go see horror movies and stuff, and she said something, he's giving her crap about, horror movies and everything, and, you don't know your stuff about horror movies and stuff, and she responds with, I read Entertainment Weekly. I know my shit. I mean, I just feel it very much kind of like how I was saying in the in my first Scream video, of how, you know, with these movies, it just like everyone was coming out of the woodworks of being like, oh, I'm a horror fan. I'm a horror fan. This right here, and I'm not even sure if this was meant to be kind of like a reference of like, you know, all the people coming out of the floodgates, you know, saying that they were horror fans, you know, and it's like they think they know like their shit and everything, and it's like their main source of like horror news and everything. And I know this was back in '97, like internet, you have to understand, was just really kind of starting to come into its own and everything. Not everyone at that time had access to like home access of the internet. Like it was still definitely not like how it is today, where it's like literally like if someone doesn't have internet, it's like, what? What? We use internet for everything now. Much different back then. So I mean, obviously, a lot of your source of stuff, like internet, was a new thing that people were getting their horror info from, but it was still not the most credible stuff. But usually, our resources were like Fangoria, Rue Morgue, Scream Magazine, or if Scream Magazine was even around back then. But you know, like things such as that, different horror magazines and stuff. So, and then plus to still stuff like Joe Bob Briggs and everything, Svengoolie and all that. You know, it's like so little things like that that we were getting our horror sources from. You know, compared to someone like Jada Pinkett Smith's character, who literally just reads like Entertainment Weekly, and it's like a 2-sentence type of information that's really not that useful. You know, I'm not bashing that at all. I'm not bashing. I mean, I know a lot of us do kind of go to different forums and stuff, including things that are not centered per se around horror itself. Just might have like a little like afterthought about it, but whatever. Like things like that it's just like I kind of like about this. And also too, this movie, you know, obviously it picks up after the events of the first one, still following Sydney and everything. Sydney's still our main protagonist and everything. But this this was one of like the first movies, if not first movie, to have the script leaked online and everything. So it was constantly going through like script changes and everything, rewrites. As a matter of fact, and I'm sure probably a lot of you know this by now, some of you may not, but the original killers in this were actually supposed to be Neve Campbell's roommate and boyfriend, Derek and Haley. And I'm kind of glad that they did switch it, like, because I just feel like, okay, well, we're just gonna follow almost the same formula as the last one. What? But yeah, so I mean, I feel like because of the leaks, it kind of worked out for the better for who our killers were going to be and everything. And plus, too, it gave them a little bit more of a freedom. I feel like this one definitely did feel like anyone could truly be the killer. I mean, whether you could go like the obvious route of, say, like Neve Campbell's character, David Arquette's character, maybe, you know, he's pissed off that his sister died in these murders and, you know, is blaming Neve Campbell's character for this and is trying to go after her. Or maybe Courtney Cox, because she's so, like, ego hungry and power hungry and everything, that she wants more, even if it means going to jail for it. Hey, as long as she can get more, how do you like it? How do you like it? More. Anyway, but no, you know, little things like that, or even Jamie Kennedy's character, who he even kind of was saying to Dewey when he was sort of like going through like, you know, like the sequel rules and everything, okay, of like, okay, everyone could be a suspect, you could be, Derek could be, and Derek was kind of like the sequel version of Randy himself, you know, because he's more of like, he's a movie buff as well, maybe more so of like, non-horror movies, and especially like sequels and trilogies and whatnot, and they're always kind of like in the movie sort of like one-upping each other, trying to like, show their movie guns and everything. I like that. I definitely like the relationship and everything, and kind of like their sort of like rivalry and everything about their knowledge of movies. I like that. So see, this is what I mean with this movie. Like, certain little things, like, definitely not a better movie, but there's certain things in this movie that were done a little bit better than the first movie, which is weird, it's weird. So, but whatever. And I do like that, and I like that, when Randy is saying that Mickey could possibly be a killer, he's like, well, no, I'm not gonna really, qualify him, because then I would be an obvious suspect. So very interesting to kind of put a lot of focus on those two characters, because you could kind of think, because we obviously know, by the end, spoiler, obviously, because I always do spoilers in franchise reviews, because obviously Mickey was one of the killers. We find out that he was one of the killers, but if Randy explored that a little bit more, maybe putting himself, out on the line of, like, to at least prove his innocence, maybe they could have caught him. I'm just saying. I don't know. Then save us from sequels. I'm just saying. But no, I like that, though. I like that they did that, because you do, at some point, you could have easily, before Randy's death, that, okay, yeah, maybe he is a killer. Maybe he is one of the killers, because we obviously know there's going to probably be two killers again. I mean, that's kind of how you have to do it, because once again, like I said in the first one, unless you're Michael, Jason, or Freddy, really, it's not convincing that the killer would be in two places at once. That's virtually impossible. This is not a supernatural type of movie or whatnot. So, but yeah, I think it's interesting that they bring that aspect up, and then, have Randy kind of like, oh, well, no, because then I would be considered a suspect. I don't even want to think about that, so I'm not going to name him as a suspect. So it's, for a second there, you kind of think, maybe Randy has completely snapped, and especially, too, like, the first scene with Nev, with Sydney, he does seem a little standoffish. He's kind of like, oh, it's not related to us, like, just little things, and that's the other thing where, the tone of the attitude of a lot of the characters are very kind of almost like standoffish. Like, everybody truly seems to be hiding something in this one. And, that's another thing that I do kind of like about this one. I give it a credit for. Because you're literally looking at everyone trying to figure out, okay, this person has a reason, this person has a reason, that person has a reason, this person has a reason. Well, we just met this person. I don't even know this person. If I'm not even trusting our main characters from our previous films, I ain't trusting this bastard over here. I'm just saying. So, little things like that, so, whatever. What else? And then, like I said, Debbie, played by, Laurie Metcalf, most notably known for, like, Roseanne and Uncle Buck and stuff. She's been in a slew of stuff. God, I love her, man. She just plays, like, a weird, offbeat, crazy, like, no one else can. I swear, I love her. Anything she's ever in, I always love her in. And she, she's a little eccentric. She's always there. She's always kind of at the crime scene, one of the first ones at the crime scene, makes you kind of like take pause and think, and I do feel like in some ways, that, it does make it really obvious, at least for her, that she is the killer, but you're kind of like wondering, like, why? Like, why? Is she just some crazed fan? Are they going to try and go for another sort of like actual legit crazed fan type of aspect that saw the movie, and, was influenced by by what Billy had said in the Stab movie of, like, oh, horror movies make psychos more creative. Like, did she take it a step too far? So little things like that you're kind of trying to piece together, when we actually do find out in the end that, you know, that she's actually Billy's mother and everything, that we had heard about, you know, a little bit, how she left her husband and everything because her husband was having an affair with Sydney's, um, mother and everything. So yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense. I mean, I totally get it. I'm kind of on her side on that, because I mean, think about it. Her husband was cheating on her with Sydney's mom. And then her son, you know, kind of followed in his dad's footsteps, ended up actually having sex with Sydney's mom as well, Maureen. Then ended up killing Maureen, and then trying to go ahead and kill Sydney, but ended up dying. So I mean, she just lost a lot of shit in her life. And it's all because of Sydney. I'm sorry, like, Sydney, your family's a fucking piece of shit, man. You're a piece of shit, dude. Ruin a whole family like that? Like, yeah, you deserve all this. I'm just saying. This one is, though, I mean, it works much better than the third one, which, I mean, I'll talk about the third one next week, but, oh my god. No, but this one, you know, it does. I mean, in a weird way, like I said, I kind of sympathize with Debbie a little bit. I mean, she just freaking lost it. You know, she has lost so much and everything. And yeah, I'm sorry, Sydney Prescott. Once again, like, I'll say it, you're a bitch. You caused an entire family, pretty much an entire family, their lives and everything. You ruined a whole family's life. You're a bitch. I'm probably the first one to ever say Sydney, well, besides Christian over at Jen's Reviews from the Grave. Oh, no, actually, you know, he said fuck Neve Campbell. But no, she's a fucking bitch. Man, dude. I'm just saying, though. But, you know, and that's the other thing, too. Like, you know, going kind of back to the whole rules and everything, you know, they do kind of go through everything. And I feel like this one, it's, you know, like, I know I had so many gripes about them doing this in the first one, but I feel like with, like, the second one, I'm not as, like, with it. I'm not so angry about it. Plus, too, I mean, because, you know, I know a lot of people were kind of starting to get into horror movies and everything at this time. So, and I know a lot of you guys, too, even, because I just posted my first Scream video up last night as of me shooting this. And, you know, I know some people were kind of saying, like, oh, you know, and I totally respect this because, you know, they were kind of around the same age as I was when these movies were coming out, really kind of like what got them, some of you guys, into horror movies and everything. So I kind of did like that with the sequels and everything. They kind of would explain things. Like, oh yeah, okay, sequels, anything's possible. Like, you know, because most of us realize that, yeah, sequels, usually anyone from the first one, pretty much they're all gonna die. You know, at some point. Very seldom do they even make it through the entire movie, such as, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, where we have Nancy pretty much surviving the whole series, or the whole movie and everything. Also, too, you know, any of the, uh, uh, secondary characters, any of the, co-starring, people that are in there usually die off fairly quickly. Usually none of them really make it. I mean, obviously, I know we did lose Randy in this one, which, you know, kind of sucks that we did lose Randy. Because, I mean, I honestly, of all the characters, I wish that he would have been the one to stick around for the whole series. I know that at some point, I think Dewey and or Gale Weathers were supposed to also meet their demise. Dewey, I'm almost certain for a fact, and like I said, I think Gale Weathers, at some point was, you know, and I kind of, like, I mean, they are such an essential part of the Scream franchise and everything, but I really kind of wish we would have sort of sacrificed one of them so we could still have Randy. I just think that was a lost character that we really could have had the whole series. I mean, I know we do get them for a glimpse on part 3, but just saying. Just my own humble opinion. Whatevs. Whatevs. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, Scream 2, it's, for sequel's sake, yeah, like I said, it's not as good as the first one. I mean, first one did break down so many walls and everything. I think the second one definitely did too, just like at least with sequel wise and sequel potential and everything, and trying to sort of, you know, whatnot. And the other thing too, because I don't think I mentioned this in my Scream video, my first one, because like I said, like there was quite a few people in here, up and coming, kind of at least semi, um, staple names, well known names. Obviously, like Sarah Michelle Gellar at the time was pretty big. I mean, Rebecca Gayheart, I think, was just kind of starting to like come into her own. Jerry O'Connell, I mean, had been in the business for years by this point. I mean, he was in Stand By Me and everything. So, they really, these movies really kind of also made it okay for well-established stars, or even just like rising stars that are starting to get a little bit of buzz, for them to, for it to be acceptable to be in a horror movie, and it wasn't just a little dirty secret for like, oh yeah, I was in a horror movie, where like at the beginning of the decade, beginning to almost like mid-decade, where we have stuff like The Leprechaun with Jennifer Aniston. Jennifer Aniston never talks about Leprechaun. I know there are other people who have been in horror movies. They never talk about it, but going forward from here, a lot of people are gonna be like, yeah, you know what? And still, a lot of these people, whenever you watch like a Scream documentary, almost everyone comes out and is like talks about it and like talks about their experiences about it. So, just saying. I'm just saying. But yeah, let me know, you guys, what you think about Scream 2 in the comments. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you like it a little more than the first one? Did you not like it as much? Like, let me know. I want to know your thoughts. Till next time, as always, stay creepy, classy, and a little bit sassy.